man. How are you doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
Not much has got off the football field. Still a little bit dirty and grimy, but I think it fits the theme of the
Nice.
show. The theme of the show.
Yeah, yeah. What are you were playing, or is it a league?
Coaching
Coaching? That's okay, cool. Wait, you coach in high school, right?
high school football. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, can't you staying close to the game, right?
Well, I call myself retiring, and then my son jumps up and wants to play, and then my nephew wants to play, and then once my son graduated, I had to hang on one more year, and now word on the street is my nephew wants to transfer to our school, so I might have to stick around
Hmm.
another year if that happens. So you kind of go where the flow takes you, and you kind of
Yeah,
just be fluid and flexible in that. But wherever God has me, I'll pray about it and get there, and then see if it's for
nice,
me, and I'll just make it happen.
nice, man. And yeah. So you were out in California, correct?
Yes, Kurt. Right in right Santa Fe Springs, but I was brought up in Long Beach,
Oh,
California.
nice. Have
Yeah,
you
long.
always pretty much been on? I know you went to college in UCLA. You always been.
Well, I was born in Connecticut. My dad's from
Oh, okay.
Philadelphia. My dad met my mom in Philadelphia, and then dated her in Connecticut, and they both came to California. And then I was born in '74. We came to California when I was an infant, and then at 4 years old, we moved to Long Beach, and then from there until I went to college, I was in Long Beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're so you like the West Coast?
Well, I mean, I'm just accustomed to it.
Yeah.
When I go back east, I feel at home. But my wife and kids are here. We're all California folks now. But I still ride with my Eagles and my Sixers.
Yeah, nice.
Sometimes my Phillies and my Flyers. But I'm a Dodger fan now, and UCLA is my college. But I'm still a diehard Eagles fan, diehard Sixers fan.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of the opposite of me, but it's all good. I'm in New York, so
Oh yeah,
yeah, we don't get along too good with the Philly fans.
I know it. I know it. But I was actually a Mets fan during the '80s with Doc Gooden and Darling and Strawberry and all them guys. Dykstra. I was a big time Mets fan with that group.
Oh yeah, they were a good group, man. And
Right,
it's funny. I mean, I'm a diehard Yankee fan, but
right.
Doc and came to Strawberry came, um, David Cohn came, and it was funny is they all played for the Yankees, and
Yeah, they did.
those were like the three guys that I liked pretty much on the Mets. They were like the only guys that I liked because I don't know what it is. I'm a Yankees, Rangers, and Jets fan, so I don't like any of
uh,
the other New York teams. So
I mean, I feel bad. I was a diehard Jet fan for the Hard Knock series,
yeah,
and I wanted to see. I had the Eagles and Jets in the Super Bowl.
yeah, man. I think a lot of people were going that way, and um, yeah, that was tough. That was a tough one, and I haven't watched Hard Knocks in a while, and then the Jets were on it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I have to watch it. And I tell you what, it really changed my mind with Aaron Rodgers as far as like who he was. Cause I mean, I didn't, we're in New York. We don't know. We just know what we hear about him through the media and stuff like that. And he was
Right.
actually a lot more down to earth than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
He seemed more of a better teammate than I thought he was going to be. I mean, who knows? It could have been
Who knows? It could be cameras.
for the cameras,
It's
but
for the cameras. Yeah, you don't know. I mean, when you hear things about people, you hold up with a grain of salt until you find out for
yeah.
sure. I think DMX said it best: when someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see how he turns out after this surgery, after
Yeah.
this long rehab, and does he still treat the guys with respect and love, and comes back hungry to win a championship, or is he just going to do it for show?
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, that's a tough injury, especially at that age.
Oh yeah, very tough.
So I'm not really, I don't know. It's tough. It's like those football guys, man. I don't know what it is. They don't like the Jets. And
I feel bad,
even
man.
when we're real good and everyone's hyped, they're just like, nope, we're gonna sit him down for
Yeah,
after four plays.
that's tough,
Um,
man.
that was a tough thing to watch, but I don't know. I'm kind of used to it at this point. I'm kind of numb to it being a Jet fan, so it's almost like, all right, well, now what? Just
Yeah.
keep watching, see how they go. And
Yep.
baseball has been dead around here for the past probably few months now, just with both these teams. So it's kind of been, you had that anticipation for the Jets even more, and it was just like, oh man, you gotta be shitting me.
It was tough, man. That's
so,
tough. And
so do,
The Yankees not being the Yankees is not normal either.
no, that's tough to see too. I mean, growing up like me, I mean, I'm pretty close to your age. I was born in '79, so when I was growing up with the Yankees in the '80s, they were hard. Well, I just say mid to late '80s, they were horrible.
Right.
And it was just even early '90s, they weren't good at all until '90, two. They were like, okay, they're not bad. And then '93, you're like, all right, this team is good. And then the lockout, whatever. Oh, I'm sorry, '94 was the lockout, and then '95, then they made the playoffs. And then that late '90s team was incredible, dude. It was like, to this day, you're just like, man, that those were the teams.
Yeah. It was fun to
Um,
watch.
yeah. So I mean, they October baseball was huge. I loved it, and it was, you had the Yankees, and then like football season started, so it was like, oh man, it was some crazy Sundays, I'll tell you that, back in the
Oh
day.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been tough so far this year in New York. But do you still watch football on Sundays, or are you kind of, because I've interviewed a few former players, and some of them just like, nah, I don't really pay attention to it. So I was kind of surprised. I don't know if it's, but I mean, it seems like you're a pretty diehard Eagles fan, so I
Well,
think,
I mean I watch when I can.
yeah,
I'm usually at church on Sunday. I do the video production. I'm a youth minister at my church.
okay,
But I watch the games on replay. I watch the highlights all night long. I watch Monday night, Thursday night. I watch college football all Saturday morning through the afternoon. I watch high school football on Friday when I'm not coaching.
oh wow,
It's my favorite sport. I mean, basketball and baseball were my favorite sports growing up.
mm,
But then I kind of, gravitated towards football, and turns out I was pretty good at it. So I played it to a high level, and I just still just love watching it, dissecting it, and
mm,
just the stories behind every single player are interesting to me, and that, their journey to get to the highest level. Um, Kids who playing, at a high level in high school, kids that play in college that, mature into professionals, is just interesting to see. And now that I have a son who's playing college football, I get to talk him through the process now,
mm,
and just making them understand how much of a privilege it is to play at that level. And then when I watch the guys play, like the Eagles playing tonight, just watching the guys play, with people like myself watching, anticipating a win,
yeah,
and it's still being entertainment, but at the root, of it all, it's just a way for people to escape their daily lives, and I think it's a good way to escape. When I stopped playing, I went through a little bit of depression. I don't think I
mm-hmm.
did anything for like 7 years as
Wow,
far as that activity was concerned. But I got back to, kind of what I was researching your show, what was the word primal meant? And it
yeah,
was like stripping down all the fluff and getting to the root of it. And what was football? It was something that I did. It wasn't who I was. And
right,
once I got back to that, fundamental truth, I was able to move on and get back into what God's called me to do, and that's to help others, whether it be in education as a teacher, as a father with my kids, or just kind of just, even in podcasting, there's being a voice of reason,
right,
seeing light side of things, and then still seeing the truth in things, and not trying to devise my own truth, but kind of understanding how the world works, and is being okay with that. If I
mm,
can't change it, I can't make an adjustment to it, be okay with it. And that's
right,
kind of how I see the games. That's why I'm able to enjoy it. I know people can't even enjoy the game.
yeah,
They think everything's fixed. They think
yeah,
everything is phony. They think everything is rigged. But I'm like, just enjoy it for what it is, man.
yeah,
It's entertainment, and guys are getting paid a lot of money to catch the ball, to tackle, to throw passes, and just have fun with it. Don't get so bent out of shape that you can't enjoy it. So, that's kind of how I see the game. That's why I can enjoy it.
right, yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot of it. Like, people just get crazy about things they can't
Oh
control,
man.
and I think
Oh,
that's a big thing in life. And I know for me that a long time, um, that really affected me, where you just have to kind of let go and just make those adjustments, and not excuses, and kind of roll with the punches. And I know you kind of live by that, tomorrow is promised to nobody. And I think, that goes really into my mantra, which I kind of developed a few years, or going back now like 15 years, when I was at my lowest, was we wake up today, we go today. And that
Right.
was it. It was just all about, focusing on, today. How can I be the best for the people that need me most today? And
Right.
that really helped kind of change my mindset. It got me to not worry about the future, to worry about what I did in the past. It was just really focus on that day. Like, and from that day forward, when, and I say that's when the Primal Mindset was born.
Cool.
That was just every day was just, I wake up today, I go today. I didn't give a shit what happened the day before, whether it was good or
Right.
bad. And
Right.
and
Right.
and even if it's, I shouldn't say if it's good, you don't want to just say, oh, it never happened, but you kind of want to build off it. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
still a new day, and we wake up today, we go today. So I think it's like we got those similar mindsets. So I was definitely, psyched about having you come on and be a part of the NGBN community now as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so was
Excited
that
about it.
yeah, with the depression you mentioned a few years back, was that part of the reason why you kind of wanted to come on to the NGBN community?
Oh yeah, man. I think we're all, you know, facing those, those roadblocks, those forks in the road, those
Mm,
decisions in our lives, like what now? And I've always, told my students or my student athletes, what's your plan B? Like, what else are you going to do? And then I had to face it myself because you go your whole life thinking you're going to be this professional in this industry. And if you don't have a number of things to walk into and plan A doesn't pan out, like the sad part is even when guys do make it to the highest level of their profession, and somehow or another they get phased out. And in this case, it was athletics. My body started getting giving out, and I
yeah.
started getting injured a lot. So I had to start thinking about, well, what else am I going to do? But you are so accustomed to every August going to camp
Mm,
and being a football player, and that's who defines what you are and what you do. And then when you no longer have that, your body tells you we should be doing something. It's August. Why aren't you getting ready for a season?
mm,
And I was just kind of like not motivated to kind of do anything. And you kind of just think of like, what? How good am I to anybody if the crowd's not cheering my name, if they're not, screaming at me if I'm on the road and they're booing me, and you crave that, and that's why you see so many athletes play beyond their time
right.
because where else you going to get that? But I, thankfully got my degree. I
Mm,
kind of had that in the back of my mind, like I'm always going to be able to go get a job. I'm able to redefine myself, but my body was just like, you should be doing something more strenuous, more demanding than, I was going to go into teaching. I wanted to go into my initial process was to go back to television. That's what my degree
mhm,
was in broadcasting and communication. But you have to start from the bottom, as a grip, as a stage hand, pulling cables, and doing public access TV, trying to figure your way. And you have to fight through that long process of not making the same amount of money you used to make,
mm,
not being famous anymore. No one's asking for your autograph, and now you have to bow down to the real life reality that you're no longer that person anymore. And you'll hear a lot of people talk about it, that window of transition after you're done playing, and as you try to find out what you're going to do next, because everybody doesn't have an Allen Iverson uh lifetime contract where you're going to
right.
get
Yeah.
800 grand every year,
Yeah.
or I forgot the other guy. I believe it was a Met,
Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla contract,
Yeah.
where you can just sit back and get paid every year
Yeah.
on a certain day of the year. But a lot of us, squander off our money, lose our homes, bankruptcy, all
Mm,
these different things come at you really fast because you go from making $12,000 a week to nothing. Like it's
right.
just there's no, you know, unless you made your pension, which will only probably be about 5,000 a month or something, whatever it is, depends on how long you played and what you made.
Mm,
I didn't make that. I only played a year and a half. So I didn't have anything except my injury grievance. So I'm
mm,
just kind of like, well, you figure, well, how am I going to make money? How am I going to redefine myself for my next chapter? As you either go in the hole deeper or you see a positive outlook or positive light at the end of the tunnel. I have so many different things I want to do with my life. And you have to be, like you said, each day, that Kobe Bryant mentality, being the
Mm.
best version of yourself. You either take that on or you shy away from it. And those of us who are, I want to say cavemen, but real men who change the oil and kill
Yeah,
spiders and
yeah, yeah.
and check what's that noise downstairs. I'm
Oh
gonna go check
yeah.
it out.
Like,
A real
yeah.
dude is gonna knuckle up
Yeah.
and do what's best for his family. And
Yeah.
I just think that's when the light came on. I can't feel sorry for myself no more. Nobody feels sorry for you. I can't let my wife go out here and make all the money. She's grinding. I got to find myself a new grind. And, back to production, back to education, back to coaching. And now I'm back to a good spot. And it was just a process of getting through that dark hole, man, that
Mm.
dark hole of what do I do every single day with my life? So I started doing Spartan races, sprint triathlons. I had to get back physically fit in order to be able to grind the way I'm used to grinding.
Mm.
So on top of being a teacher, on top of working at the church, on top of being a football coach, being a track coach, being, just being a dad, being a husband, all these things I had to put all the things I learned from football into a lifestyle of dedication, a lifestyle of consistency, a lifestyle of just being responsible for what I had to be responsible for. I couldn't let things fall apart like my dad did.
Mm.
My dad wasn't there for me. I was the man of the house at 4 years old.
Wow.
So when my dad took a knee, talked to me on the front yard on the west side of Long Beach and said, you know what? Dad's gonna be gone. So now I need you to take care of your mom and your brother. I want you to be the man of the house. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And fast forward, he was gone. I didn't know he was going to prison for a long time.
Oh wow.
So, it was a quick grow up process. I had to be really mature at an early age, take care of me and my brother at an early age. My mom did the best she could. But you fast forward to all the stuff I've been through, I can't get through a point of uncertainty after football is over to transition into my next chapter of my life. Sure, I can. This is not even that big of a deal. Like
Mm.
real pressure is, seeing your mom struggle,
Right.
abusive boyfriend that I, had altercations with, when I was 12, and there's some stuff that I've been through that was way more difficult than this. So getting through that stage of depression was like, how dare you feel sorry for yourself when you've come this far? So I just know that doing my podcast and coming on your podcast, being on Rubio's, just kind of just
Mm.
saying, hey, man, I've been through a lot, but you'll never know that. You never guess that until I tell you it.
Right. Right.
And it's because I don't wear it on my sleeves. Like, please feel sorry for me. Look
Right.
at me. I don't think that's what men do. Men put their head down and go to work.
Right.
And when someone else needs their story to help them get through it, you tell your story. And that's kind of where I am with that. So I know there's a TED talk out there or a group of men who need to hear that. But you know, when the time comes, when an opportunity presents itself, I love sharing my story, and that's kind of where we come up with our podcast. We
Right.
have a story to tell, and at some point or another, you share it, and it's going to help somebody, and that's kind of what you want to do: help at least one person in the audience if you can.
Yeah. And it just really comes down to, like you said, you share your story. And I was a person that did not like attention on me, whether it was good or bad. I just hated talking. I hated, I was not a social media guy. And then when COVID hit is really when I decided to put my story out there. And I was, when COVID hit, my first son, he just turned 1. Um, I was about 40 years old or so. At 38 it was when I was finally able to get sober. So being sober 2 years, then COVID hit. My son was 1. I was home from a few of my jobs, and like I was like, man, I have something here. I was able to overcome all this, and then depression, the alcoholism, being 300 pounds, and just like severe anxiety attacks every day. And a lot of that stemmed actually too from I was only 13 when my dad passed away.
Mm,
Um, so a lot of that stemmed from that. And then it got to once I was able to get sober, and I had kids, and like you were saying, like I had to show them what a man is going to be, like I only had a short time with my dad, but he was, he was a man's man. He knew,
Hmm.
how to be a man. He took care of his house. He took care of his family. So I saw from example, I wasn't with him long enough to get the life lessons from him and kind of grow up that way. So, but I saw it through example. And then
Right.
I saw through example with my mom, because she's, she had a she had young kids when my dad died, and my brother was just about to go to college. I was, 13. My sister was 11. She had to get a job. She had to get health insurance for her kids. She was the first person that exemplified the primal mindset, and I didn't know it at that time. I was a
You
young
didn't know it.
kid, but hey, she woke up today. She went today. And that was another thing where I saw by example. Um, so I just wanted to get my story out there as well. And then that's when I linked up with Ian Hill, and then, met Rubio, like, who he's a funny guy, man. I like Rubio a lot. And I know you must have some interesting stories at college with that guy.
Oh
But
man. Oh yeah.
um,
Rubio has always been a classic dude.
yeah,
Doesn't look anything like he looks now. Rubio was
I
300
know.
pounds.
I saw some pictures from college, and I was like,
Oh
damn.
yeah. Dude, this is
Um,
a night and day, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm glad I was able to finally get my story out there, because I had people reaching out to me who I grew up with, who I'm like, man, I had no idea you went through that. And then, would reach out and say, hey, my brother's going through this, or so and so is going through this. Do you think you can talk to them? Like, your story is really inspiring. And then people I didn't even know started reaching out doing the same thing. That's when, like, that switch is like, man, we, really gotta make meaning of all the things that happened to you, and I
Hmm.
always say my darkest days turned out to be my best, because it's who made me today.
Yeah.
And it's all everything you said, that victim mentality, where that why me, like, that switch to, what, try me. I wake up today, I go today, like, I'm gonna show my boys what it's like to to be a man. um
Yeah.
and I have and then another one came. So my one son's about to turn 5, and my other one just turned 2. So, like, I'm always say, be the best for the ones that need you most, and that's your family. And that's where, like, I'm glad that I linked up with NGBN, and being a part of it, and putting it out there with my podcast, having guests like you on there, which is just, I think, something that we're really going to make a difference. So, I'm really looking forward to definitely, staying connected with you and seeing your show. And at what point did you start the live sports show?
Well, it was as I talked to Coach Rubio and Ian, Mr. Ian Hill, about where my show came from.
Mm,
A teammate and I, we used to joke about having a radio show. We would pretend in the locker room that we were broadcasters, and we would,
yeah,
we would introduce certain people, and we would,
yeah.
do fake interviews all the time. And fast forward 20 years or so, maybe 30 years, pandemic hits, and we have all this time at the house, and depression starts to sit back in, because now you're stuck and
Mm,
you can't do, because he was also a teacher at the time, and we're used to being out and inspiring, connecting, is if you're used to that environment of people and high fives and small wins, on a school campus, and you no longer have that. A lot of time is idle, and you have to figure out how I'm going to fill up that time. And I reached out and said, yo, man, you still think about doing our radio show? And he was like, well, now everyone's doing podcasts.
mm,
So I was like, well, I started my own. And he said, well, I started my own. So we started doing a show together called the 1585 Show. And it was pretty popular amongst us UCLA veterans. And then I continued to do my show on a different night. And then when our schedules didn't meet up, I just continued my show.
mm,
And my show, I just kept perfecting it. My background is sports TV with Fox Sports One. So I know how to, put together a show. I know how to cut, graphics. I know how to tell a story. And I watch sports talk shows, and I, always critique them, kind of objectively as much as I can. But then I get really critical of my own. And I just know that, I would like to be authentic. I don't want to just be obvious and state scores and who
mm.
won. I
Yeah.
want to, I like storylines. I like the father and son stories. I like the no father there, and my father figure was my coach story. I
Right.
like the mom was the matriarch, and
Yeah.
I like to hear what happened to this person to get to this level of prominence. And it's usually some diehard dad who was drilling this kid to the sun went home when the sun came down and made this kid great. Or you hear about Roy Jones Jr. or Oscar De La Hoya's dad being the worst dads in the world, but the
Yeah.
best trainers in the world. And they made these guys the best
Yeah.
ever. And you just hear those stories. And I said, let's talk about that. How do you feel about that? And I like to hear from people. So my show is predicated on comments. So I throw it out there. I'll give my little 2 cents on stories. And I like to see what everyone else thinks about it. And I
Mm.
know sometimes you get restricted. You really can't say what is absolutely on your mind because of, politics and being politically
Yeah.
correct and being canceled. But sometimes I mean, we had a show and we're targeting the transgender athletes. And I'm just kind of thinking as a girl dad, if my daughter worked her whole life to compete at a certain level and she gets beat by, and all that stuff just came out and the
Right.
comments just start flooding in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, I'm not the only one that feels this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't feel it. I don't know if society is going to be okay with me feeling this way. I'm like, but you have the right to feel how you feel. And I just think if we disagree or we agree, I think it's good. I think it's therapy for you to say what you feel about something and someone acknowledges with you, even if you don't agree. So my whole thing was therapy. People just want to be heard if they're not seen. So if you can say what's on your mind on a certain topic and you can get me to understand where you're coming from, you've gotten it off your chest.
Right.
And it's no longer up inside of you,
Yeah. Yeah.
killing you. And people are like, man, I'm glad I had a chance to talk. Our brother from the NGBN network, unfortunately took his own life last month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me and Jimmy, James Gingrich, we had just become friends
Hmm.
on our decade show. We didn't agree. I voted Democrat. I believe he voted Republican, and he's pro guns. I'm not necessarily a gun guy, but we agreed to disagree, and we were cool to kind of express how we felt about certain topics. And that show was making breakthroughs with people, like people who had totally a left wing or a right wing point of view were able to talk to somebody that was cool, not a raging lunatic
Right. Right. Yeah.
on one side or another. I said, man, I'm an independent. I don't care what your affiliation is. If you're a good dude doing what's right for people morally and objectively, I'm good. But um, being able to express those thoughts and those feelings were therapeutic. Unfortunately, our good friend, still had those little, like Rubio said, wires that could be tripped,
Right.
and all else is out the window. But hopefully, somebody could learn from those conversations. Somebody could comment and get their voice heard and not feel alone and
Mm.
unseen and insignificant, where your words mean something to people. And I've had people hop on my show and be totally off topic and express their frustrations. Like one topic was my son's not getting recruited. And I was like, well, a lot of things come into play in the recruiting process. And in this particular time, there was race. And I was saying, well, it's been a long time coming for a black quarterback to be seen as a quarterback and not a black quarterback.
Right. Right.
So this Latino quarterback was feeling the same discrimination that black quarterbacks have been feeling for, 50 years. I said, but if you can play, they'll find you regardless of your last name, but you have
Right.
to maybe have to wait a little bit longer and play a little bit better. That's just how it is. How can you be so upset that you just throw your hands up and say, forget it? You know what,
Right.
son, you're not going to get a fair shake. Is that the message you want your son to take? And I was
They'll be
like,
like that the whole life.
his whole life
Yeah.
he'll be a victim his whole life, and he'll
Yeah.
feel everyone's against me. And that's kind of how I feel like certain people are attack referees.
Hmm.
I've always been one to say we gotta have to beat them and the refs. Like you
Right.
can't just the refs are against us. Of course the refs are against us. So we got to win by 15 points. We can't
Yeah.
win by 5 because they're gonna somehow or another make this game too tight. I just know that just as human beings, the need to be heard, the need to express your point of view is necessary. especially when we get a little bit older and we're a lot more opinionated. I know when I was younger, I wouldn't have a whole lot to say that would be polarizing, that might expose me to what I actually feel or think. I would go with the flow and try not to ruffle no feathers.
Right.
The older that I've gotten, I could care less what people think about me, and I can be confident and okay if someone doesn't agree with me.
Right.
And that's kind of what a man should be, is like stand by what you believe and don't sway back and forth. Don't be mealy mouth, unsure about your point of view or your stance. Be confident in
Yeah, be
everything that you do
confident. That's
and
it.
just roll, like you said, every day. Get up and go. Don't have
Yeah.
any excuses, and don't look back. You don't look too far in the front,
Right.
because today is the day to get it done. And I think if we go by that, we got something.
Yeah, it'll be all right. And so you actually, like, you have a live show, and so people's comments will be coming in as you're talking, and as you're and you kind of let them pick the topic. Is that how?
I'm constantly producing.
Okay.
I'm constantly looking for a story. Again, scores are fine, but the scores are the scores. It's like math versus English class. Math class, 2 + 2 is going to be 4.
Right.
But English class, you might be able to write a sentence that's so convincing that you make me pay attention. And so I'm more on the lines of what's bigger here. What's the bigger picture here? I capture screenshots of stories that I think are cool, or I think are interesting, or I think are a conversation piece. Just the fact that the Miami Dolphins scored 70 points in the NFL football game. Forget about who they played, which was the Denver Broncos. I'm just thinking to myself, what's going on here? 70 points. For a quarterback who gets tackled one time, he's going to probably have to retire because if he has so many concussions. Like, just the storyline of what's going on in the big picture. Is there an off limits like bounty? Like, is there something going on here? I'm always looking for a story behind a story, not necessarily a conspiracy,
Right.
but something that's interesting that you might have thought about. Like when I see a track star run a unbelievable time, I immediately think, is he clean? It's because I've ran track at a high level, and I know it's impossible to run that fast that many times in one track season.
Right. Right.
If a baseball player, if Roger Clemens is at the courtroom pointing fingers and banishing people that I'd never taken any performance enhancing drugs, and you're sitting there thinking, well, how can a man get better?
Yeah.
I mean, you were the rocket. You were throwing nothing but gas for 15 years, and you're now throwing more gas.
Yeah. You
And
got better with age. Is kind of like
yeah, yeah, Barry Bonds, your head is getting bigger.
Yeah, your head is huge, and
You're
you're hitting home runs at an unbelievable pace.
yeah,
Like
you're hitting foul balls out. And it's like, well, the
yeah,
storyline here is, are they Hall of Famers even though they juiced? Like, just acting naive that Barry Bonds did not juice is just being that naive.
yeah,
Not knowingly taking, you still took them. And when I see anybody involved with anybody that does those types of things, and you're around them long enough, like the fact that Victor Conti is back in the sports world training people, like Bud Crawford, the middleweight champ of the world, is seen taking pictures with the Balco guy.
yeah.
I'm like, what do you want us to think?
Didn't he do like a complete reversal of the Balco guy? Isn't he kind of like on the other
That's
side of
what
it
they
now?
say. That's what
Yeah,
they
I
say.
don't know if I'm buying that.
I can't buy that. And
Yeah.
if I bring that topic up, the comments come in. And they
Okay,
come
cool.
in and say, yo, man,
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be seen with Victor Conti if I'm an athlete. Yo, I think he's juicing. Yo, I think you're making stuff up. And then you comment on it. I'll answer to it. I either agree or disagree. I'll give my
Mm,
take on it, and it flows. And I have to get to the next topic, otherwise the show can go on and on
right,
and on.
right.
So I think it's a cool way for people to communicate, to participate, and feel like they're part of the show. And I think that's kind of where I found a little sweet spot. It makes the show, flow, but then I still have to watch the clock, because if I answer too many comments, then we'll
Yeah.
kind of go over time. But for the most part, it's fun. And a lot of the people that comment are people I've known for almost my whole life. So you figure the people you reached out to on Facebook or Instagram, or I just got into TikTok. I started doing, the short videos, the YouTube shorts, and
Mhm.
all my old buddies are chiming in. They're giving their comment. Even after the live show, they're giving comments.
Yeah.
So if I come back on the show the next week and the topic comes back up again, I can acknowledge what my friend from 30 years ago said about this topic. So, it's a cool idea, and I hope it continues to go in the way it's going.
Yeah, man. I like that. I think it's definitely interesting show. And how was it? How often do you do the show? Once a week? Twice a week?
So I'll do my show once a week on Tuesday nights. It's the
Okay.
AC Sports Live show, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. I'm going to adjust that once football season is over because a lot of the NGBN viewers are on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So I'll probably try to get it around 6 p.m. West Coast, makes it 9 p.m. East Coast. So it'll be a little bit more, palatable for those on the East Coast. So it's not too late, not a midnight show.
Right.
But, for the next few weeks, I'll still be at 9. I believe tomorrow is my debut on the NGBN network.
Nice.
That will be the 26th of September.
Hmm.
And then when we go live, you and I, all of us go
Yeah.
live in
Yeah.
December, really have to adjust it. I can see you doing the show every day. If we can get to a point where these shows put money in our pockets,
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to do this?
Yeah, man.
This
That's,
ain't.
I mean, yeah, that's the goal. And
That is.
that's hopefully the vision or the plan that we got for NGBN. Like not only helping people, but helping us as well,
Oh yeah.
helping each
Oh
other,
yeah.
helping us build each other's brands and our stories our shows. And man, yeah, I would love to sit there and do this every day. If that this became my career or my job, or that'd be tremendous.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. I would do it on site, on location. I'll do it
yeah,
on. I do it easily, man. I would do shows more than once a day. I'd be all day long at the beach,
yeah,
at the gym, at the cafe, at Starbucks, anywhere I'd get clearance, I'd do it because I'd grab people, interview people, and just find out what's going on in their lives, what's going on with you. I mean, in your show, you can do this anywhere,
yeah,
any gentleman walking around, you can put, hey man, you got 15 minutes, and just talk about their story,
yeah,
and you'd be surprised how no one has ever asked someone to tell their
yeah,
story, and if you started doing that, I mean, you probably get 5 dudes a day that
yeah,
haven't. I mean, you'd be surprised how many folks have never been asked how they're doing, and to be a genuine question like, "How are you?" And you really want to know how I'm doing. I said, "Man, I'm not doing too hot. Lost my job.
yeah,
My wife left me. My kids don't like me very much. I barely speak to them. And a lot of my friends I see on Facebook are reaching out for people to just kind of acknowledge them. Because when you see a man take a bunch of selfies, and I got one, profile pic that I've used since forever. It's a cartoon picture of me. I don't take a ton of selfies of myself. I don't take
yeah,
pictures of myself.
yeah,
But when I see a guy doing that, you have to know that something's there. Like something is missing. Like what do you want me to see? And what do you want the response to be? This is not a dating site. So what are you trying to say? And look at me. And that's kind of what a lot of social media guys fall, I won't say victim to, but they fall into that custom to
yeah,
always showing like, this is what I'm doing. Check me out. Check me out. I'm all for promotion and self-promotion and getting your product out there. But if you're not selling anything, you don't have a show you're promoting, then you're saying, please, man, reach out to your boy. I'm not where I need to be.
mm,
Because you've known someone your whole life. And then they are someone else on social media. And you're kind of like, yo, you good?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
everything good? This is not the man I remember that was in these streets, getting money and taking care of his family. Now you're out here doing X, Y, and Z. So, you pick up on those things. And I think when we grow older, we gain wisdom
mm-hmm,
through our experiences. And I think if we can use our wisdom eyes and see those things, we can be more proactive in helping our brother who may be going through something.
right,
And then saying, hey, aside from social media, hey, man, what's your phone number? Let me holler at you, man. Let's chop it up. Let's go have coffee and talk about it a little bit. What's going on? Maybe I can help you. So, I think that's a big thing about what we're doing at our network.
mm-hmm,
It's just being open in different types of platforms on your show, my show, Rubio's show, all the guys that have shows on our network can touch somebody that needs to talk or listen and find out, how do I get through what I'm going through right now?
Yeah, man. And it's I'm glad that you're going to be a part of it starting tomorrow night, and I'm definitely looking forward to staying connected with you, doing some multiple shows with you, and yeah, man, just really glad you came on, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. I'm glad you had me on. I had to ask, man, how'd you lose so much weight? You said you were 300
Uh
pounds.
yeah,
What did you do?
eat healthy and exercise, man.
So, all right. So my joke, now that we're good, now we're homies. Hey, bro, you sure you weren't smoking that crack, man? You sure you weren't
No.
doing anything illegal? You weren't doing
No,
anything?
it's crazy, man. Everyone asks me that, and I tell them the same thing. It's no secret. It's you eat healthy and you exercise, you get active.
Get active.
And that, yeah, that's basically what it was.
That's
So
cool, man.
yeah,
Well, I'm about to go get active myself. I'm boxing. I'm boxing now. I've upped the ante a little bit. I got into a sport that I've always been a fan of, but I've been always been, on the outside looking in. But there was a boxing gym open around the corner, and I signed up. My son and I, and my son's off to college, but I still work out. So, even one of my first guests on the NGBN network will be the owners of the boxing gym around the way, and
nice.
one of the owners is an actual middleweight champion. So,
Oh,
I'm
cool.
about to go get active right now.
Nice, man. Yeah, yeah. Keep going, man. Stay moving. And I would definitely want to send you a t-shirt, so I'll get you your address off air, and then yeah, this way you can rock the GP.
Yes, sir. It sounds good to me, man. Appreciate having me on, man. Again, Tuesday nights, AC Sports Live on the NGBN TV network. I'm glad to be a part of this network that's going to help middle-aged men like us
Yeah.
get through whatever we're going through and
Yeah.
approach each day.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. All right,
Attack
man.
each day.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Okay, man. Peace out.
All right. Bye.